Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday morning chat here, May the 20th. Hopefully everyone has been able to get out and enjoy some of the marvelous weather, aside from the crazy amount of wind. Has it been windy at you guys' place there, Ruthann?
Yes. Yeah. Yesterday was horrible.
Wild, yeah. But I'm thrilled this morning to be joined by Ruthann Watson. She is joining us this morning to talk to us about Harvest Hills Cares. This is an organization that's new to me and new to a lot of folks at St. Thomas. But it's something that Ruthann brought to our attention through the outreach committee, who then brought it to the executive council, who was very excited to be able to support this initiative in any way that we could. So we've been able to donate some funds through our benevolent fund at the church, and that's a fund that we have some donations there that helps and enables us to support individuals or causes that normally don't fit within one of our other sort of budget line items. So it's a great way for us to be able to support initiatives like this. So I don't want to say too much about this organization, but Ruthann, thank you so much for joining us to speak to this wonderful cause. And I just want to invite you to tell us a little bit more about Harvest Hills Cares, who they are, and what they're up to in our community.
Thank you, Justin, and thank you, people of St. Thomas United Church and beyond. I became aware of Harvest Hills Cares just through Twitter, saw a few tweets, and then when I was wanting to learn more about them on behalf of another agency that was your organization that was raising funds, I contacted Jennifer Rapuano-Kremenik, who started Harvest Hills Cares just shortly after the start of the pandemic. She apparently has experienced food insecurity and issues around housing at different times in her life. She decided that she needed to help out people that she was hearing about in that part of Calgary. And she says eventually another friend helped out and became interested. And within a few months, they were a registered charity. They their major client group, and they don't turn anyone away, and they hope that they can continue this, is to address the needs of people who fall through the cracks, people who are receiving AISH, but whose rent has gone up, people who started a job but are waiting a first paycheck, people who perhaps have joint custody of children and don't want anybody to know that they are experiencing food insecurity because they're afraid of children's services or the other parent taking the kids. People who, perhaps had a very good lifestyle until this pandemic. More recently, it's people who actually, some of their clients are people who went back to work, and then with this third wave, it's completely tipped the scales, and now they're looking at homelessness. So they don't have any paid staff. They don't have an office. So their administrative costs are minimal. They have a volunteer board who are all volunteers. And at any given moment, they have between 15 and 30 volunteers. They liaise with a lot of other agencies. And she spends a lot of her time going out. She must watch all of the online flyers at any, she's at Walmart, Costco, Superstore. And I should mention that if you Google Harvest Hills Cares, she has been interviewed by several media outlets, so you can get more of an idea of what they do. They don't turn anybody away from any part of the city, but there are times when they are so completely overwhelmed. And as she told me one day, in one 2-day period within the last couple of weeks, they had 82 calls, all of them just heart-wrenching, which is more than many larger agencies could cope with. my understanding is with other support agencies in the city, they're all overwhelmed. And the reason that some of these people are falling through the cracks is because, these other agencies are saying, we can't help you. We can't even do an intake for a few weeks. Or have you tried this? Well, yes, those kinds of things. So I sent out an email. Some of you may have got it because I thought, you know what, these are people who just rolled up their sleeves. They're not professional fundraisers. They're not, as far as I know, professional helpers. They've never organized an agency like this before. They saw a need and they couldn't ignore it anymore.
Yeah.
And I heard about them, and after a while I got uncomfortable enough and thought, well, I can't ignore this anymore either. And maybe some of the people at St. Thomas and other people that I know won't be able to ignore it anymore. So that's how I'm not officially involved with them, but that's how I got found out more about them.
Yeah. Well, and I think that speaks to the need as well in this whole situation, and through the pandemic, we're seeing sort of that disparity coming about in society that again is, like you said, is hard to ignore. It used to be that we can sort of trust these social networks, and that there are these safety nets in North American culture, and people are supposed to be able to lean on those things, but there are cracks in the system that people do fall through. Like there are red tape processes that don't always work for people. There are steps that need to be taken, and rightly so in a lot of cases, and yet there are still heart-wrenching stories, like you said, of people that fall through the cracks in an overrun system, based on just the huge levels of need that we're seeing in the world right now.
Yeah, that's right. Jennifer said, well, I did ask her in an email when I was getting ready for this interview. I said, like, have you done this before, or is it seat of the pants? And she said, no, that's a good term. It's definitely seat of the pants. We're just doing it. The reason she's doing a lot of shopping is that there are people I didn't realize until later in my professional career, that there are millions of people out there who don't have canned goods as part of their cuisine. And we have this bizarre system in Canada, and I presume the United States, about what best before, expired, used before means. So sometimes people throw out canned goods from the food bank because they think it's no good, when it just means it might be a slightly different color or something. So she said there's almost no waste, because she talks to people and says, well, what does your family like? What will they eat? What kind of cultural and dietary concerns do you have? And then she'll just, if they can afford to give them a hamper, she'll go out and buy. She buys bulk, and so nothing is wasted.
Right.
Same thing with other needs that people have. So it's quite efficient that way. And they do refer people to the food bank, and they do help people get there. And they do buy people sometimes a tank of gas so they can get to work.
Right.
Something that you don't think about. But yeah, for some people, that's the difference between being employed, or if you're a long ways from a bus stop and you don't want your child standing there all by themselves, it's easier to drive them. You need a tank of gas. So they do that.
Absolutely. It's all the little bits and pieces that really sort of cause people concerns, and really, really impinge on people's ability to fend for themselves, I guess, is really not the way we need to be thinking about it. But how do we support people, right? How do we build that capacity in people's lives? And sometimes there are major roadblocks that seem small in our sort of day-to-day operations of our own lives.
Right. So, I did, they do need volunteers. They need money, and they need volunteers. And I thought about helping deliver hampers, and I may still do that. I haven't decided. I've had one shot. So, but I thought what I can do is write a letter and email it everywhere. So I did that. And that triggered something at St. Thomas. It triggered something with IODE, the other organization I belong to, and maybe it has triggered something with other people and other organizations.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And how can people get involved? I know there's we have a write-up in our bulletin last week. We'll have that information available in the bulletin again this week. And do they have an online presence that people can go check out?
They do, and they will take e-transfers. They will take PayPal, they will take credit cards. You can go to Harvest Hills Cares Calgary.ca, or and if you, as I said in the bulletin, if you don't care about a tax receipt, they have a GoFundMe page. But other things that they need, she sent me quite a list here. She said they can use help with even people who write articles or blogging about budgeting childcare activities, helpful recipes to how to, look after your physical and emotional health. They could use help administration in the form of people answering phones, helping with intake, volunteer organization, scheduling. They can use help delivering hampers, and I presume maybe, I don't know about shopping, but possibly even that. So yeah, if you go to their website or their Facebook page, they would be very happy to get back to you and talk about how you can help.
Awesome.
And hopefully this won't go on forever.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would like to be out of work, but and this is a labor of love. Nobody's making any money on this. But the other thing is, though, that this pandemic has highlighted a lot of cracks in the system, in all kinds of aspects of how we care for each other. And so we're going to have a time of reckoning. I think, I know for myself, in like, how long are we going to put up with some of these conditions that our fellow human beings are living in, some of the stress and fear and concerns that people have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you mentioned too. Like we sort of live in that and work every day in the hope that we'll be out of a job, right? That we'll be out of work. That the needs will dry up. But until then, yeah, we commit ourselves again to doing what we can in all those places to fill those gaps.
Right. Yeah, a few years ago, Cam and I were fortunate enough to go to Southern Africa, and before we started the safari, we did a day trip in a mini bus with a local guide. Went out to an elephant reserve. Not too privileged, but on the drive back, he took a different road back, and it wasn't a township, but it was an area, a suburb, I think, of Port Elizabeth, where like it looked like hectares and hectares of what would definitely be substandard housing, very substandard, galvanized metal and that kind of thing. And he said, "Look at this." He said, "You don't have anything like this in Canada." And I said, "Well, it's a little cold for galvanized roofs and that kind of thing. But, to our disgrace, in this land that has so much, in, I think it was 1982, I'm sure the people who started the food bank thought it would be temporary. It's now 60,000 square feet and 9,000 volunteers. And it is now a once a week trip the way some people go to Costco. It has become an institution in our society. And James McCara and I are in agreement with this. It was supposed to be temporary.
Right.
And people shouldn't have to go and ask for enough food to get by.
Absolutely.
And not in this land. Times are tough, but they're not. There is enough food,
Yeah.
and there is enough shelter if we manage things properly.
Yeah,
our citizens don't have to live like this.
Yeah. And it becomes that management piece, right? How do we take those resources and distribute them equitably and equally, and provide for each one of our brothers and sisters around the world and in our own backyards.
Yeah. It's it's hard to see what what's in our own backyard sometimes.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for bringing our attention, for showing us another way that we can get involved in the issues that are right outside our back doors and right in our own communities. Thanks for bringing that to our attention, for opening our eyes, and for giving us an opportunity to really enable the work that is the church in the world, that is living out our faith and our love for each and every one of our brothers and sisters are in and around not only St. Thomas in our community, but in the world as well.
Well, thank you, Justin.
Yeah, thank you so much, and take care, everyone. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. If there's anything that we can do to help support you in your world and your life here and now, know that we are here for you. Take good care. Get in touch with one of us, either through the office, myself, or anyone in the church, and be in touch. We'd love to walk this road with you. And like Ruthann was saying, hopefully one day there won't be this need, but until then we work together in the world and in our own backyards. So thank you so much. Take care. God bless. Know that you are loved and cared for now and always. Amen.